Hello, Civ fans, and welcome to today's Firaxis livestream.
So my name is Pete Murray. I'm going to be your host today. I'm joined as usual by Carl Harrison from Firaxis QA. He's going to be our driver. Hello, Carl. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing well, thank you.
And joining us today is David McDonough, one of the designers who is working on the new Frontier Pass. Dave, thanks for joining us today.
Why, thanks, Pete. Thanks for having me.
And Dave was the designer who worked on the new Heroes and Legends system, which makes him a perfect guest for today as we play with Hammurabi and the Babylonians. So let's go ahead and jump into the game. Carl, you want to tell us about what Babylon is like when you're playing it as a Civ?
Yeah, absolutely. Babylon and Hammurabi are a very unique, interesting playstyle. They have a whopping minus 50% science per turn to their raw science. This is applied at the city level, and we'll see that once we get into the game here. However, they get 100% of the science for a tech when they discover the Eureka for that tech, or the boost for that tech, and we'll see that once we get playing. Today we're going to be starting off with just a settler. A lot of the things that Babylon has are right at the very beginning of the game, and so we really wanted to highlight those things and show them off. So rather than starting a little further in like we normally do, today we're going to be starting with settling a city for us.
Okay, Carl, tell us a little bit about your early tech decisions, given that strange nature of Babylon.
Yeah, let's go ahead and open the tech tree and take a look at that. Because you get 100% of the boost of a tech when you get the Eureka, we want to start with mining, animal husbandry, and pottery here, which don't have any boosts. You have to hard tech those. And up here you can see we're only getting 1.2 science per turn right now, and so it's going to take us quite a while to get through these. We are playing on quick speed Emperor difficulty today. And this will allow us to have some time to try to get some of these other boosts, like finding a natural wonder or getting a builder out to get some of these early resource-based improvements, so that we can get those Eurekas quickly. And I'm going to start by building the Sebum Kibitum here. This is Babylon's unique unit. It is a melee promotion class unit, just like the Warrior. However, like an anti-cav unit, it has plus 17 combat strength against all cavalry promotion class units. It does have a lower base combat strength than the Warrior, so it does fare a little bit worse against other melee class units. Let's pause there, and Dave, I'm going to let you talk about heroes, as we've discovered our first one.
Yeah, so you found the continent of Valbara, and that's one of the ways that you discover heroes in their new Heroes and Legends game mode. Getting a hero, which were described in the November update as great people on steroids, they're sort of like single type super units, is a multi-step process. First, you have to find out about them, which is discovery, which you can do through various kinds of exploration and by influencing city-states. Once you discover a hero, you have to claim them by devoting a monument to their honor in one of your cities. So your city has to build a monument, and then that city can undertake a project to devote the monument to a specific hero. And from then on, that city becomes the hero's origin city and is the place where they will appear and can reappear later on the era. So every hero can only be claimed once in the whole game. So there's always a bit of a race to see which city's going to get which one, but it's sort of a two-step race, and then you have to find out about them first and then claim the particular one that you want. So your continent revealed to you Hippolyta, who's one of our more combat-focused heroes. Her abilities focus on her role as the historic queen of the Amazons, a heroic military leader, was second to none, who also possessed a magic girdle that protected her in battle. So she gets an automatic healing per turn for herself, and her special ability is Hippolyta's Command, which lets you target an adjacent friendly military unit and immediately refresh its moves and attacks. So she can augment your army in a substantial way and all but double its effectiveness.
So here we see Hippolyta in the Heroes and Great People portion of the Great People screen. So that's where you'll go to see who's available to you. So, and I see, Carl, you've gotten the Sabum Kibitum online.
Yeah, it's got +1 movement, so a movement of 3, and a +1 sight as well, so it can see farther. We're going to use this kind of as a combat scout. As a melee promotion class unit, it does have a combat bonus against other anti-cav units, so it's still pretty decent against barbarian camps, and particularly against barbarian horsemen, since it does have the bonus against cavalry units like a spearman would. But it's not as good against other warriors and normal combat units like you might expect. Actually, I'm going to change that. I'm going to switch to a builder so that we can get some improvements out. We can see we've got stone here, rice. We want to improve these so that we can get the boost for those rather quickly. I do want to build a monument so that I can devote it to a hero, but we've only discovered Hippolyta so far. There are a lot of heroes available in the game, and I want to try to see if I can get a couple more of them available first. Also, each time you complete a hero devotion project in one city, your next hero devotion project, which must be done in a different city because the city can only be devoted to one hero, the cost will increase. So rather than doing the first project in my capital city, I would actually prefer to do it in my secondary city, which will allow me to capitalize on the lower production, and then I can use the higher production that my capital will have, being a more developed city, to try to get the second hero out a little bit faster.
Yeah, it's important to note that because heroes are per city, it's not only possible, but an excellent way to play to try to claim more than one. And in fact, the hero-on-hero synergies can create some really interesting, wacky combinations.
So, Dave, how did you and the rest of the design team go about deciding who was going to be a... good thing you didn't get that builder out before this natural disaster hit. How did you decide which heroes were going to be in the game? Did you guys sit down and were like, okay, who are the greatest people in history? Go.
Kind of. We pretty much started with casting wide among the designers, the writers, pretty much anybody who had an interest on heroic legends, tales, myths from across the world that had exceptional characters and were something we thought we could reflect in gameplay. That list was obviously really large. And so we narrowed it down, trying to keep our eye on two overriding principles of representing as many world regions and world cultures as we could, keeping an even gendered split, and also trying to reflect heroes whose legendary exploits could be translated into a variety of playstyles. So Hippolyta is a military-focused hero. There are several military-focused heroes, but even among them, they don't have the same style. Some, like Beowulf, are upfront and center personal fighters. Some, like Arthur and Hippolyta, are more army augmenters. And then we have other heroes like Maui or Anansi, who are more about territory and land, resources, and yields. And then heroes like Hercules, who are a hybrid. So we narrowed it down and ended up with the catalog of 12 that you see here.
Cool. So we've actually, Carl, you've just progressed through a whole bunch of texts and civics on just this turn, just through the course of doing some normal activities through the game.
Yeah, so I picked up a goody hut down here, a tribal village that gave me the boost for writing. I would have preferred to do that naturally by meeting somebody, but we'll still take it. And then I discovered a natural wonder, which is the Eureka for astrology. So I finished both of those texts in a single turn. I'm still researching mining. I have 2 turns left on mining. We even have our builder finished and out. They will be producing or ready to produce this mine next turn, but I'll still have 1 more turn of research before I can even actually make that tile improvement.
So we got a question from chat. Are there any science-based heroes, Dave?
Well, I did mention Anansi. So his ability, Anansi's tricks, you take him out into a plot with a resource on it, and by activating the ability, he consumes the resource, essentially destroying it permanently, and in turn provides a one-time substantial burst of both science and culture. So you can send them out into essentially wilderness and convert that into knowledge for your people. There are no heroes that are like specifically depend on science. Like there are others that can contribute to it in a variety of ways. Hercules, for instance, Hercules' labor could be used to instantly complete a campus district, which would help your civilization's science. But that's part of the fun of the heroes. Their abilities are very particular to their story, and they can apply to a wide variety of strategies. You can use them to pursue any of a series of ends, and you can also do that across the game. So heroes appear and they stick around and then they go away. But if you need them back and you want their abilities again in later eras, you can recall them with faith in that origin city. So a hero can appear once per era, so potentially as many as a half dozen times or more in a single game, you could have Anansi back and do that same kind of maneuver again.
Or the lesser known Greek myth where Hercules builds a spaceport overnight as, you know, the 25th or the 26th labor of Hercules.
Yeah, that Hercules has got too many labors.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so Carl, again, you've been discovering more texts and civics as you've been going on here. I noticed you've queued up a builder. Where are you planning to settle your second city?
Yeah, so we've got the settler here. I think I'm going to settle right on this sheep and grab a couple tiles from Gobistan here. Settling within 2 tiles of a natural wonder like this is going to give me a +2 era score bonus, which will be nice. Try to get a golden age from classical. And I think there's some other really good spots for cities throughout the region, but that's the first one I want to pick up is right there.
Mm-hmm. So one of the questions that I've seen on the internet, people theory crafting Babylon, is people have said you probably want to push building campuses in your cities because you want those great scientist points so that, especially later on in the game, you can get those scientists who are going to give you free tech boosts, which will equate to, you know, free tech unlocks all at once. Do you think that's a viable strategy with Babylon?
You definitely want to get a couple of campuses so that you do have some science, and yes, absolutely, so that you're getting those great people points, great scientist points. Getting great scientists to give you boosts for free is incredible with Babylon. It feels good. It's really strong. Right now, we're going to go ahead and pick up irrigation just by building a farm. But I don't think that it's viable to build a lot of campuses. You actually want to focus on other districts instead. You want to try to get at least 2 campuses because there is a boost later on that is build 2 universities. So you do want to try to have at least 2 campuses so that you can get that one. But I don't think it's necessary to have more than that. And the campuses that you do build, you want to make sure have really strong adjacency bonuses. If you're not getting a strong adjacency bonus, you're not going to want to build the campus because that bonus is effectively going to be halved for you.
Another thing to keep in mind when playing Babylon that can slip your mind is that a lot of the boosts, particularly in the middle and later game, also depend on exceptionally good, or I should say strong, culture progress. So if you're playing Babylon, you're thinking, I'm a science powerhouse, but you're neglecting your culture half of the game, you're going to miss access to a lot of those boosts that you're going to depend on, and your civ is really going to start to sag by about the industrial era.
And we got another question about Babylon's abilities with the specialist district versus non-specialist district boosts. So Babylon gets the first building that it constructs in a new district for free for nuns. Oh, here we're going to meet Gorgo now.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about that. I know the question. I've seen it a couple of times. So it's important to note that Babylon gets the first building for free in specialty districts except the government plaza, because the government plaza does have a choice. So does the encampment, but in the encampment you'll actually get the barracks automatically because that's the first building that unlocks. I'm going to go ahead and open this back up so that we can take a look at it. Each specialty district except the government plaza. Then the second part of it is that you receive an envoy when any other district is constructed for the first time. This is not worded as non-specialty districts because this includes the government plaza. So technically, it is non-specialty districts, which includes the aqueduct, the canal, the neighborhood, those types of districts. But it doesn't actually say non-specialty districts because the government plaza is specialty, and the government plaza gets the envoy as well because it cannot get the building automatically.
So, Dave, I guess this gets at kind of a design question. So you and the design team, you have to go through a bunch of iterations when you're trying to balance a civilization. Now, I imagine that's kind of tricky with a civ that kind of bends the rules as hard as Babylon does. But I guess these rule-bending civs, this was really what you guys were setting out to do with the New Frontier Pass, right? Oh,
yeah, no, Babylon is he's a perfect illustration of... Babylon and Hammurabi are a perfect illustration of what we want to do with New Frontier. So Civ up through Gathering Storm is a well-balanced, very feature-rich, very content-rich game. It's pretty much an excellent game already. And the New Frontier Pass is an opportunity for us to sort of push the edges even further into some of the wackier things or the more unconventional things that we think would really enrich the game, but are definitely perhaps best served up when the whole cake is there, best served up as the icing. So something like Babylon, who takes your science game and totally flips it on its head, is fun when the richness of Civ is there to play against and around. And so a Civ like Babylon and the kind of idea behind our 100% Eureka science really found its moment in the New Frontier Pass. And something like Heroes and Legends is another great illustration, something where these characters come into the game and they totally transform the gameplay. They can be totally game breaking for a short period of time. We put it in as an optional game mode, so you can play with it or not. And we put it in knowing that players already love the core of Civ that's already there and are eager to see this add to it.
So, a couple things thank you, Dave. There's a couple things I'm going to point out. First of all, I want to say hi to Gerald and assure him that this is not a pre-recorded stream. We're actually playing this live. And then, Carl, I saw you started to build the Palgum, which is Babylon's unique building.
Yes, it is.
You want to tell us about that a little bit?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The Palgum is a watermill replacement building. It has +1 housing, +2 production, and then rather than the normal watermill effect of adding +1 food to like rice and wheat tiles, it adds +1 food to all fresh water tiles. So every single tile along this river here within my territory is going to get +1 food when this is done. You grow very fast, and I'm going to be struggling for housing shortly after this is finished because I'm going to delay building a granary because it's not going to give us a boost, and so many other things are, and we want to try to get some of our districts down and things like that. So we'll end up housing capped for a bit. But the Palgum is a very strong building, and it also is going to give us a boost as a watermill replacement.
All right. And okay, and once you, sorry, what were you going to queue up after you get done with the Palgum?
So we'll take a look at what it costs to do various things. I think that's going to be part of it. But I need to get walls up. That will give us a boost. I need to get a monument up so that we can eventually build a hero in that city. Here we go. We already have.
You've already unlocked a classical tech. Yeah.
Exactly. We've got construction because I finished the Palgum. The Palgum is a watermill replacement. That's the boost for getting construction, and there we go. We're already there. Looks like the Aztecs are over here. I haven't discovered them yet, so we'll go take our Sebum Kibitum over that direction next.
So we've intentionally chosen civilizations that are sort of early game powerhouses just so we can show off a little bit of competition early on. So obviously that meant the Aztecs. The Greeks are another good choice as well too for this. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what comes up. So and again, you're going to keep boosting your era score. So you're well set for a golden age at this point. You've, I guess, gone 6 points over. That's pretty solid. So if we were playing with dramatic ages on as well too, that's another gameplay mode that we could opt in as well, right, Dave?
Yeah, absolutely. All of the modes in New Frontier Pass are designed to layer with each other and combine in any combination you want. So, for instance, the arrow score you get from technologies for Babylon can be both a blessing and a curse with dramatic ages on, because on the one hand you get them pretty fast, but on the other hand it's very unpredictable. It can be a little tricky to play Babylon and not know precisely when you're going to get to some critical techs. Or other combinations. For instance, combining secret societies and heroes mode is quite the wild ride. If you can imagine an army composed of Arthur, questing knights, and vampires, that exists in Civilization now. That's a thing. And good luck with it.
You can do that. And Carl, you had another pretty awesome turn. So with that iron mine coming online, you got both ironworking and the wheel and craftsmanship as well.
Yes, I did. So 3 different boosts, one of which was a civic boost, so we don't get the full thing for that, just the normal amount. But I did complete the other 2 techs as a result of building that 1 tile improvement. And that is our first mine. We're going to be trying to get another builder out as soon as possible. And if I build 2 more mines, that will be the boost for apprenticeship. And then apprenticeship will give us +1 production on all our mines. There's a huge boost to Babylon's early game. We definitely want to try to get that up and running as quickly as possible. But yet again, that's another thing that is going to be competing for our production queue here. Right now, I'm trying to get this trader out. We're going to send it over to Cardiff, which will give us an envoy there. And that is going to give us the tech for currency. We're just going straight through all of these as fast as we can.
So it's actually interesting. Somebody in chat has brought up an interesting question, which is, what happens if you tech crossbows in the ancient era? Will you still build archers and other older units? And the answer is no.
Yeah, that's a really great question. Yeah, the answer is no, and you can actually really mess yourself up that way. So if you build 3 archers, the moment you have all 3 of them out, you will get crossbowmen unlocked machinery as the tech. And then you can no longer build archers or slingers. And it can be very expensive to build crossbowmen. It can be very expensive to upgrade your archers into crossbowmen. And so you can back yourself into a little bit of a corner. That's not the only place in the tech tree where that can happen. And you do want to be careful, because if you end up in a defensive war, you might be in a really sore spot doing that to yourself. I want to take a moment to talk about what's going on here. I finished those first 3 technologies that you have to hard tech that don't have a boost, and everything that's available now has a boost. I have to pick something. I have to choose a research. I can't just not pick anything. And so I'm going to have to end up hard teching something. The question is, what do you hard tech? You sort of want to pick things that you think are going to be difficult for you to get the boost for. We don't have a coastal city yet. Shipbuilding might be one that I go for eventually, but I don't have sailing yet. I'm going to try to get the boost for that by settling and sitting on the coast. Further on down, military engineering is one that I might hard tech because I don't see myself fitting an aqueduct in my production queue at this time. For right now, I'm going to go for archery. Well, killing a unit with a slinger is normally pretty easy to do. I currently do not have a slinger, and I've killed the barbarian camp that was here and the one that was here, so there's no more units for me to even fight with a slinger. So rather than trying to wait on that, I'm just going to go ahead and hard tech it.
And what's interesting is if you look up at the ribbon up in the right-hand corner where it's got the yields on, you can see that Babylon science per turn is a paltry, what is that, 5, 3?
3. It's 3 right now.
3, yeah. And yet, you are the current tech leader in the classical era. You have vaulted on while everybody else is lingering behind you.
Yeah, it feels pretty good.
Yeah. So, Dave, this is a question that you might be able to answer, but how does the Old God Obelisk work with heroes? That is the Void Singer's replacement for the normal monument in the city center, right?
Yes, that's right. And all it does is replace the monument as a requirement for the hero. So if you are a Void Singer Civ and you want to claim a hero, it is your Old God Obelisk that you dedicate. So you can have a city with the Old God Obelisk of Maui in it, for instance.
Yeah, I'm really glad you didn't give the Greeks iron, Carl. That was probably a good decision.
I think I might need it here in a little bit, and also I have the ability to upgrade my Sabum Kibitums into Swordsman. I'm going to go ahead and do that now, which will give us another era score. We are vastly overshooting this, but I see Eagle Warriors down here, and I kind of want that extra protection right now.
Yeah, they're totally going for you, so...
So an interesting thing in this game, we chose civs with early game sort of military power like Gorgo, Montezuma. That raises a question that we sort of that came up when we were putting Babylon together and is worth keeping in mind when playing as them is who's a good civ to play against them. And I know, Carl, that you have some ideas on this. One of the big ones is a civ that can put some pressure on them militarily, keep up with them militarily. But what are some other sort of good anti-Babylon strategies, or things that if you were playing as Babylon, you might want to throw in there to make it more of a challenge for yourself?
Yeah, so I think that civs that excel in science are really strong against Babylon for the reason that Babylon does not excel in science. They excel in technology. So if you have another civ who is able to get a really high science output and is able to go through their technologies just as quickly as Babylon can, Babylon might be a little bit faster, provided that they're playing the boost game correctly. A science heavy civ is still going to be able to keep up pretty well. And then when you get to the end of the tech tree, you run out of boosts. the last few information era techs and the future era techs do not have boosts available, and so you sort of have to do those the hard way. And when you're playing as Babylon, that means you're doing it 50% slower than everybody else. You can still get really respectable science playing as Babylon. I know that there's players out there who can get 1,000 science per turn or more. I've done that myself, and you're able to. That means you're getting 400, 500 science as Babylon. Still a lot of science, right? But if you're going up against somebody who does have 1,000 science per turn, you're gonna feel that difference at that point.
All right. So another question from chat. Does the Polygum also boost Tundra, Desert, and other non-farmable tiles when it adds food to...
Yeah.
So you can actually use that in the Tundra or Desert to grow up a city pretty fast, too.
Right. As long as it's a city adjacent to fresh water. That's rivers, lakes, and oases, as well as a couple of natural wonders.
All right, and we've got Hippolyta online now. Do you want to move her out into the open, and then we can take a look? So, Dave, the art team had a lot of fun with these heroes, didn't they?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, each one of them is a unique character. They're beautiful to look at. They have really awesome visual effects for just standing around, but also for doing their heroic abilities. So, yeah, as showpiece characters, I think they were a great treat for the art team. Carl, I see you went for Hippolyta. Is that just because is that the only one you've managed to discover so far?
That is the only one I've managed to discover. I'm going ahead and doing the Heroic Tales project in Babylon. I started to build walls there, and then I thought better of it because I want to show off a couple of these heroes for you guys. And so that means we need to get some more discovered. I can't unlock one if I haven't even found it. So we're gonna try to get that done and show them off if we can.
Hippolyta's a good choice kind of anyway, as long as you expect a little bit of a scrap. And with Mexico City right on your doorstep, there's certainly every reason to think that might happen. All of the heroes in the game, whether or not they're devoted to combat power, Hunappu is a great choice.
The twins.
Whether or not they're devoted to military are powerful combat units, and they can all hold their own in combat just fine. The only one that's sort of off the wall is Himiko, who's not personally a fighter, but a great general. She has an AoE combat buff. So even if this is an interesting challenge of the heroes mode, is that because of their lifespan, you have to be very careful about when you summon them, which means the time may come when you want a hero, but you don't have exactly the one that you want. They are all still strong, and so oftentimes it's better to get the second choice hero than it is to wait and get no hero at all.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we just saw a new hero. Carl, you want to pull them up real quick? Because this is, Hunappu and
Ishbalanke.
Ishbalanke.
Yeah.
Ishbalanke, yes. So we've had a lot of fun pronouncing that. These are the twin heroes of Mayan mythology. And Dave, you had a funny way of describing them.
Oh, yeah. It's like Mayan mythology, you just can't beat it for the most bonkers mythological stories on the planet. I feel like the Popol Vuh, which is a Mayan epic, is kind of like the Marvel comics of the pre-Columbian world. Like they're crazy. People are dead and then they're alive and they're actually siblings with each other. And there's like talking snakes and animated spears, and it's just the most wild thing. It makes, frankly, the Nordic myths look tame. And so Hunappu and Ishbalanke were orphaned and essentially had a story where they were continuously bullied by the gods of the underworld until they figured out the secrets of death and resurrection, and, not to put too fine a point on it, trolled the gods of the underworld to death. They undertook this series of antics and tricks to essentially show the gods of the underworld to be fools, and in the process broke the level of esteem that the Mayan people had for them and sort of relegated them to second-class status. It's a fascinating story. You should totally look it up. But in our game, they act as resurrectors. They can, any unit that they kill, they bring back to life under your control. It's that resurrection theme of their mythology coming out in gameplay.
There are a few exceptions to that, though. Isn't that correct?
That's right. They cannot resurrect other heroes or vampires that way. But almost any other unit, it's described in the gameplay as any normal unit. So any standard military unit that they kill, they'll bring back.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we get to see Hippolyta do her business here. So each hero also has a combat power, melee or a combat strength as well, right, Dave?
That's right. So heroes are um, temporary beings, so they only show up for a short time when you first claim them, and then you can recall them by spending faith in subsequent eras. And the point at which the hero comes back, they have a combat strength that scales based on that era. So Hunahpu and Ishbalan-K have a combat strength that is their classical era combat strength, because that's when they showed up, or that's when they would show up.
Yeah.
And if you recall them again in the medieval or the Renaissance or the Industrial era, they would come back fully refreshed with all of their charges and at a new minimum combat strength. Oh man, you even lost one
Oh
already.
no.
I
Yeah.
did, yeah, that was unfortunate.
That's
but
okay.
It gives us a good
It does happen.
opportunity.
Right, so heroes are still units on the field, and while they're powerful, they're not invulnerable, and they can fall in battle, like Hippolyta did. When a hero first leaves play for any reason, because they died or because their lifespan expired, they leave behind two great works. One of them is a heroic epic, which is the tale of their deeds, and that gets automatically placed in their origin city. And the other is their heroic object, which is, in the case of Hippolyta, it would be her girdle. And that is an antiquity. You'll have to find that later. Come back and search for the place where she fell and dig it up, and then you can put it into the monument along with her epic and get the set.
Very cool. All right, so I think this would be a great time to be able to recruit the Wonder Twins if you can do that. It would be a lot of fun to kill some Eagle Warriors and turn them back against the Aztecs. Do you think you're going to be able to get that out in time?
I went ahead and did one more heroic tales. I just wanted to see who else we would get. We had some interesting hero choices appear during our practice rehearsal. And I want to see if that will happen, because that's the hero I would rather get. There he is, Hercules.
There's our pal
Speaking of
Hercules.
We're gonna go with Hercules instead of Hunahpu and Ishbalan-K. I do love the twins. They are a fantastic hero unit, particularly for combat, like we're going to be doing with the Aztecs here. Because if you have no army, like I do right now, you can capture their units and use that as your army. But Hercules is able to build districts basically for free, and it's very strong. We don't have any districts up and running yet, so that's who I want to build here. Later in the game, Hercules also has an ability called Hercules' Rage. Well, he has it immediately, but I prefer using Hercules' Rage much later in the game. It allows you to immediately pillage the entire district and all buildings within it for 1 charge, whereas building a district costs 2 charges. So you use the labor ability early in the game when you're getting your infrastructure up and running, and later on when you're using him as a pure combat unit, which, as you can imagine, Hercules is pretty darn strong. Hercules' Rage is great while you're at war.
And again, that's that lesser-known later myth of Hercules where he tore down a nuclear reactor by himself and then smashed up a factory too. So, God, I love Civ. Dave, somebody has asked, are there specialized disasters for the heroes in Legends game mode, like dragon attacks or things like that? That would be cool, but unfortunately not.
Yeah, unfortunately not. The mode focuses on the heroes, on the player playable pieces that they represent, and not on problems for you to overcome. Civ's got enough problems, so that's why I like the mode so much. You have all the challenges you normally have in a Civ game, maybe more if you've turned on something like Apocalypse mode or Dramatic Ages. And then the heroes are tools that you could use to meet those challenges in all kinds of wild and interesting ways.
Gotcha. All right, so somebody's asked another interesting question, which is, if somebody conquers the city where you've got the monument to Hippolyta, do you lose the ability to recruit Hippolyta?
Yes. So it's a great question. There's a little bit of a dance that gets done. So the hero is linked to the city permanently and forever, but also to the original player. So if it was your people who raised a monument to Hercules and he pledged his loyalty to you, then it's pledged to you forever, no matter what happens to you. If your civ is eliminated from the game, Hercules goes with you. If you lose the city where Hercules was first born or first appeared, you also lose the ability to summon him. So you have to reconquer his origin city before you can bring him back. But any other player that conquers Hercules' city does not automatically get Hercules. And if Hercules the unit is active in the game, he certainly doesn't leave your ownership. Like, as soon as you bring him into play, he's yours until his time is up.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's cool.
I want to say a little bit about the lifespan stat if I have a chance.
Yeah, sure, go for
while
it.
Carl is about to get swamped by Eagle Warriors. It's one of the cool features of the new mode that we added the concept of lifespan, a sort of a ticking clock on the unit that will automatically expire and delete them from the game when it runs out. This is brought in for heroes because it sort of fits beautifully with their sort of overpowered abilities and their sort of temporary nature. The heroes walked among men for some time and then they vanished into the mists of history, and then until you decide to bring them back by praying really hard. But lifespan is a stat that's built into the game proper now. So you can, if you're a modder, put lifespan on any unit in the game. You can make brand new heroes or hero classes and give them your own lifespan stat. You can go nuts with it. So it's something that we've got to do in this mode that I think is going to add. It makes this mode work, but it can also make for some really interesting modding opportunities in the future.
All right, and because heroes do have a lifespan, you guys made some changes so that they are. You can, for example, teleport a hero to a city. Ah, there's our pal Hercules, and then there he goes. He builds the district in a single day. That was very clever, Carl.
And we got the library for free because this is the first time we have built a campus.
Nice.
There you go. A nice synergy between Babylon and the Heroes mode.
So somebody
yes,
said
to answer your quick question.
Yeah.
Sorry, you were in the middle of a question. Yes, heroes can teleport between cities just like great people. So we don't want you to spend turns of that valuable lifespan trudging them across the landscape.
Okay, that's what I was checking. Somebody has asked if you kill unique units with the Mayan twins, do you get the unique unit or the normal one? You get the unique unit.
Yeah, you get the thing that you killed.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So that's very exciting as well too.
You can make some pretty wild armies. Just ask Carl.
So actually, Carl, you're doing pretty well here. It looks like you're going to be able to, since you have the swordsman and now you've got the walls up in your city. It looks like Mashkan Shapir will be able to hold up for a little while. And then if you get Hercules assisting you, the odds are pretty good you can go roll up on Mexico City pretty hard.
That is going to be the goal here for sure. Hercules is a 52 melee strength unit. Hero class units do not have experience. They can't gain promotions and they can't heal that way. But he does act as a melee unit otherwise with 52 strength and 3 movement. I do want to use him to build another district here though. We're going to go ahead and put a commercial hub down and insta-build that, which gives us the market for free, which gives us another trade route slot. I don't know if we're going to do that in this city just now. Because I want to get out the ancient walls to boost that, and we're going to move this archer down. Building the archer increase the range strength on our city. Oop, let me come back down here.
Yep. So is Hercules tougher because you unlocked swordsman prior to recruiting him, or is that just like his classical era strength?
It's just his classical air strength.
Yeah, he has a very high base strength.
That's crazy.
Various heroes have different strengths based on their myths and legends. So you'll see that vary a little bit based on who you're playing as. It's also, of course, balanced between the units themselves. So Hercules does districts and then just combat, whereas the twins capture other units. So they have a little bit of a lower strength because they're increasing the size of your military in other means.
Gotcha. Do you get era score for defeating a hero? It looks like we got some era score for Hippolyta dying, but do we get some for beating a hero?
The era score is all on the side of the hero owner. So you get era score when you first claim a hero, when the hero first leaves play, whether they die or their lifespan expires, and you get era score for the first time you recall a hero. But if you're the player that kills a hero, there's no additional bonus for that.
Okay. Are there any naval-specific heroes, or are they all just land-based heroes?
There's one, and one of my favorites, Sinbad. Sinbad the Sailor of Middle Eastern legends. So he is a Corsair unit. It looks like the Barbary Corsair. And you can build him, you can summon him from any city that is on the coast. So he's the only exception to the monument rule. You still need a monument, but the city also has to be able to train naval units before it can claim Sinbad. But once you do, he comes out. He is an ancient era, like ocean-going super explorer with an incredible sight and movement range. And his ability is Sinbad's Fortunes, which lets you target any military unit or barbarian camp that he can get to. So it's pretty much anybody standing on the coast. Mm-hmm. And Hercules generates a fountain of gold. and damages a unit for 50%, or in the case of the camp, disperses the camp. So he can
Awesome.
just sail around the world, find everything, and generate you a pile of money along the way.
That's awesome. So, Carl, did I just see you popped up to apprenticeship already?
I did, yeah. So I built my third mine here. I have one here, and then the third one I put here, which gave me +1 production on all mines. That's a huge boost for us going forward. It's interesting to note that we also, and prior to this, had gotten mass production because I built a lumber mill, which is the boost for mass production. So we skipped medieval era, went all the way into Renaissance and got the era score for doing that, and now we just got the era score for going into medieval era. So you do get the ability to leapfrog through the tech tree as Babylon, and you do get all of the unlocks along the way. So you can get some pretty crazy combinations. This is also what we were talking about earlier with unlocking machinery and sort of locking yourself out of various military units. That's not always in your favor, but there are some pretty cool things that you can do with this.
Yeah, I'll say that's kind of amazing. So we're not technically out of the classical age yet, and you've already unlocked your first Renaissance tech.
Yes, that's true. I'm going to go ahead and put a holy site down. We've got Gobustan here, which is a natural wonder, gives us a major adjacency bonus, and I want the faith here so that I can try to recall heroes more cheaply, or not more cheaply, but better in the future, because you need faith in order to do that. However, it is worth noting that there are a couple of changes to things here. In cities where you have a holy site and a shrine and or temple, you do get bonuses to heroes that are claimed there. So the shrine will give you 10% longer lifespan, and the temple, I believe, makes it cheaper. Is that correct, Dave?
Yes.
And
Cheaper
then,
to recall.
right, and then you can also do that with a couple of wonders, which I'll let you talk about.
Yeah, so the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, appropriately, is a lifespan extender, and then the Oracle is your recall discount wonder. And it's even though we're not playing with or against him, our old friend Gilgamesh, perhaps the original hero, his Civ unique ability is changed for Heroes mode to be focused on heroes.
All right. So I guess a couple of things that I wanted to kind of point out as we're flying through here. So I don't know if people saw, but Hercules' movement range is a solid. He's got a solid 3 movement. So if we wanted to, he would have been able to kind of run up and pound on that Eagle Warrior. But you decided to put him to work on infrastructure first. That's lucky for that Eagle Warrior, I guess.
Yeah, once I moved him away from the city, it would be harder to bring him back. You can move him between your own cities pretty easily, but once they're on the front lines, it's much harder to use their charges back at home. So I want to do that first, and then come back to it later.
Mm-hmm. And then somebody in chat is asking why you don't get era score for killing a hero or a legend. So the era score is tied to the civilization's owner. David had explained earlier, rather than the civilization that finished them off. So you get the era score for recruiting the hero, era score when the hero leaves you for the first time, and then era score when you recall the hero later on. So that's the way that works.
Yep.
So now somebody else is asking, if Babylon develops a medieval tech at the ancient era, does Babylon accelerate the world era changing as well?
They do, yeah. So playing with Babylon can sort of artificially reduce the length of your eras, and you'll feel it when you're playing against Babylon or even playing with Babylon. You have a much shorter window to gain your era score, so it is something that you want to watch out for. And it could definitely be painful, particularly against Babylon, because if you're playing as Babylon, you typically have a lot of toys at your disposal as you rocket your way through the tech tree. But when playing against them, it can actually put you even further behind in some respects.
All right, is Hercules going to go to town here? He sure
yes,
is.
he is.
All right, let's watch him do his work here. He's just going to lay these guys out.
Oh, they managed to survive.
No, take him out with the archer. At least get
I've
some
already attacked
XP
with the
on
archer.
Ah, I missed it. All right. Oh, and again, example of the world era accelerating. You can saw that there was a a skirmisher that was a barbarian unit, because they are key to the world techs as well too. So not just scouts, the barbarians are going to get tougher as well. So Dave, do you want to tell us who some of the other heroes that we haven't seen in the course of this playthrough are?
Yeah, for sure. It's good that we're seeing a subset here, but in one game it'll take you normal game take you several eras to see them all. So let's see if I can rattle them all off from memory. There's Anansi, of course, and Arthur, King Arthur. There's Beowulf and Hercules and Hippolyta.
You've got Oya.
Yeah, Oya, Himiko, Hunahpu, and Ishbalanque. Then we also have Maui, Sun Wukong, Mulan, Sinbad. Did I forget any? I used to know this by heart, but
yeah, that's all right.
I think that's the catalog. I don't think I forgot any.
So that's a good set of heroes, and yeah, you'll find there's some interesting synergies between them as well too. So
yeah, for sure. I was thinking about as Carl was playing Babylon, talking about raw science. Anansi's ability to hoover up resources and turn them into raw science makes a great synergy with Babylon. He's a great way to fill in those gaps on the techs you have to hard tech. Alternatively, Maui's a great one because he can add valuable resources to your cities, and he can, for instance, plug some of the gaps in Babylon's playstyle that involve them sort of overrunning their boundaries, like growing too fast, not having enough amenities, and or needing to keep up with the boost game by making sure that your culture output is high enough, getting a lot of things for your cities to develop around by having Maui go out and sprinkle the landscape with valuable resources is a great way to synergize as well. And there's many others.
One of the interesting wrinkles I found playing Babylon the other day was actually Brazil was in my game as well. And I was making such a concerted effort to recruit great scientists that I ended up utterly alienating Brazil. But because Brazil's entire ability is based on their kind of advantage at recruiting great people, it was really like this push where the AI was trying to fulfill its agenda. And I was like, well, I need you to stop doing that because I need these great scientists to do my job.
Yeah, Brazil makes a good kind of dark horse anti-Babylon civ for that reason, especially in the late game when great scientists can be one of the best ways to get boosts or to get those boosts that are more difficult for you to get to based on whatever victory you're going to. Your civ starts to spread out, and they're not all kind of right there for the taking like they are in the ancient and classical era. So you really depend on things like the Great Library and things like great people to keep the boost game going. And if anybody's in a position to fight you for those, like Brazil, you can feel it as Babylon.
Mm-hmm. And I guess there must be an Arctic barbarian camp down there. When things are done, you'll probably have to go down and clean that out, Carl.
Yep, that's the
Did you
plan.
see where they were coming from?
I have not yet. No, I have not found that camp yet.
All right. Well, this is interesting because every time we have played this save out, it's evolved a little bit differently. This time it's a little more aggressive than usual, but the Spartans certainly seem to be impressed by your willingness to punch the Aztecs in the face for a little while. And we've just discovered Arthur.
But not in a good way, because he has been claimed by Montezuma, which means we are going to be facing him on the battlefield. There he is in Mexico City. He's hidden by the city itself, but we might see him come out onto the field here in just a moment.
You better finish that Eagle Warrior before he turns it into a questing knight. That would be not good.
Although I believe the units that get turned into questing knights maintain their current health values. Dave, correct me if I'm wrong about that, but that prevents you from sort of taking a unit that's at 1 health and turning it into a unit that's got full health.
Right. So Arthur's Acolyte doesn't change the damage state of the unit; it just changes its type. The resurrection of the hero twins, though, that does bring the unit back at full strength.
Wow. So can we see who others, what heroes have been claimed by other civilizations? So it looks like
we haven't actually discovered that many yet. Hunahpu and Ishbalanque are the only other ones that we have discovered that have not been claimed. Looks like we've got to do a little bit more exploration, but I sent my units back home once I had seen that the Aztecs were doing some conquering next to me. Normally I would send those subcubitums a little bit further out and continue to explore, like just like they were a scout. But I definitely needed the combat units. Oh, and he wants peace. I don't think so. We're gonna refuse that deal for right now
You're gonna have
because
a
I want
hero
to see.
duel.
Right, we want to show this off, even if it goes badly. We want to show this off here.
It's there's a very real possibility it'll go badly too.
Yes, there
I
is.
just want to take a second and say hi to Megan. Thank you. You're the best. We like you. Do questing knights disappear after Arthur's time expires? No, the questing knights actually end up with a time limit of their own. Correct?
That's right. So at the moment you do the accolade, the unit gets a on standard speed, I believe 10 or 12 turn lifespan of its own. And so after that time is up, the individual questing knight expires. This could be regardless of the expiration of Arthur himself or any of the other questing knights you've made. So while you may be sitting and watching the stream and thinking, boy, Arthur can just transform, 6 guys into ultra heavy cavalry. Yes, he can, but that's a very time limited thing. Like every one of those cavalries that you will make itself only has 10 turns to act. So get your timing just right, and then he and his Knights of the Round Table will vanish.
That sounds amazing. Carl, have you used the questing knights much?
It doesn't look like he's bringing Arthur out yet.
He is not. No. Maybe he'll attack here in a minute, though. I have gotten to use the questing knights quite a bit. We've had some pretty amazing exchanges playing heroes mode. It's a ton of fun when you have heroes go up against each other. There's one time in particular where I was playing a multiplayer game against other testers in the department, and we had an epic battle between Mulan and Beowulf. And Beowulf used his ability, which can insta-kill a unit adjacent to him, to kill Mulan outright. But Mulan was able to kill a whole bunch of other units in the process. It was a pretty great fight, and you have a lot of these really cool moments while playing this mode.
That sounds amazing. Um,
They're forcing
Dave,
the
do you wanna-
issue. They're knocking on Mexico City's door.
Yeah. One way or another, we're going to see Arthur come out, I'm sure. Dave, somebody is asking again about the Oracle. So you want to talk about how those early game wonders affect the way that you use your heroes?
Oh, the Oracle is the wonder that gives you the ability to recall the hero for slightly cheaper. You can always recall the hero, but the Oracle gives you a faith discount. So
Okay.
Carl mentioned when he was building his holy site here, the first time you summon a hero, there's a little bit of a game of which hero and where, because of the production cost of the devotion project and also the timing. From the moment that you complete the claim, the hero appears and their lifespan starts ticking, so you have to time that more or less just right. But after that, once the hero has appeared and come and gone, you can recall them with faith once per era. Once again, in the origin city where they first appeared.
Right.
So at that point, you kind of can get them back on demand once the era ticks over.
And
So
Hanging
if you,
Gardens is, sorry, I'm just going to point out, Carl's pointed out that Hanging Gardens has actually gotten a change, so it affects heroes as well too. Makes them last
Hanging
longer.
Gardens, right? It's the one that makes their lifespan longer. So Hanging Gardens makes it easier to rely on their lifespan window. You get a little bit more time. And then the Oracle makes it easier to bring them back, easier to afford to bring them back, so that you are in a better position to recall them in exactly the right time that you need them subsequently. So one or both of the wonders, either way, will make it easier for you to play around those lifespan limitations of heroes.
Awesome. So, Carl, do you have the capacity to build the Great Library yet, or have you unlocked that yet?
We are on our way there, so we've got recorded history up next. That is built
Okay.
to campus districts. We have not achieved that yet. I don't think we're going to in time. I want to go ahead and rush this out as quickly as possible.
Yeah. I don't know. Looks like you might be able to take Mexico City. I mean, certainly you're going to be able to put some hurt on it if you want to do that. And how long does Hercules have left on his in his time with us? He's done a lot of work for you this game.
He has. We'll take a look at that in just a second. He has 15 turns left in his lifespan. Still no attacks from Arthur here. He's using it to keep the city very strong, though, which my swordsman isn't going to be able to do anything against. If you look at the attack preview, that is a major defeat, tons of damage. So I don't necessarily blame him. Like, he could damage the swordsman, but he might also kill it outright, which means the city would then be vulnerable, and also Arthur would be vulnerable. So he's making some smart plays here. It's possible that he will turn one of these units into a questing knight and circle around, but I think that the mountain is part of the reason that he's not done that so far, because it does put him in a bit of a bad spot movement wise.
Yeah. How long does Hercules have? Did we check that?
Yeah, he's got 15 turns left.
Oh, okay. So good bit of time. His work isn't done yet. Yeah, that spearman was not going to survive a river crossing. Oh, 6 gold. You can do better than that.
We're still going to refuse, just in the hopes that we get some hero combat here.
All right. You've got a pretty good spot for the Great Library too, right where that stone resource was that you just harvested. Yeah. So, Dave, it's been a good journey for you guys working on the new Frontier Pass. You've had a chance to try a bunch of new fun things out. I know the fans have always been asking where the Babylonians are, so it's fun to bring them back in this way.
Yeah, no, Babylon is an old favorite. He's been around since in a variety of contexts in other Civ games, and of course one of the OGs of Fertile Crescent Civilization. It doesn't quite feel like a complete game with the name Civilization if you can't put Babylon in it. So getting the opportunity in the new Frontier Pass, especially pairing it with an off-the-wall science ability that speaks to Babylon's kind of unique history, and is also just a really fun playstyle and really changes the game, is pretty much a match made in heaven. So it's really great that he can come back under these circumstances.
Yeah. Carl, are you in danger of ending up in a dark age at the end of this era? I just noticed that we're starting to run out of time, but you have a little bit of a.
I am.
7
There's
turns to get
three points left, so we might be able to pull out a normal age, but we're definitely not going to be getting another golden age, which is really unfortunate for us.
You had a hard legend to live up to. Your reputation preceded yourself. Boy, man, Arthur is really making it tough to take that.
He definitely is, yeah.
Wow, you traded her those horses? That was
Well, I don't think that she's going to be coming after me, at least right now. I've got more military strength than her, and I've not seen any units up there. There we go. We've built the Oracle, which will make it cheaper to recall units.
So you could potentially recall Hippolyta, and you'll get some era score for this too, and you could potentially recall Hippolyta as well before the end of the classical era.
I don't
Did we get
know.
her out?
We did. I don't know that we'll be able to actually do so, though. She's still 565, so she was 670 before. Now, after the Oracle, that has gone down considerably. I'm hoping to try to get a temple here, which will make it even cheaper, but we definitely don't have enough faith for that yet. I went for a culture-based pantheon. We have so many plantations up here, plantation resources up here, that I felt that was an appropriate choice. Lots of jungle as well, which would reduce appeal for something like Earth Goddess. But we'll see if we're able to get the temple out in time. I don't think so, because we've only got a couple of minutes left here.
Yeah. So we got
one more question. It does make for an interesting game where.
No, go ahead, Dave.
Oh, I mean, the comment about whether or not you emphasize faith. The hero relationship to faith, especially given their diverse playstyles, really kind of plugs faith back into your strategy in an interesting way. You can emphasize it from the get-go and essentially bank hero buying faith all the game through, and you can really make a strategy built around getting heroes back again and again, and having a large collection of them. You can basically play a hero victory by emphasizing faith and going for a particular selection of heroes that complement one another and power up whatever other victory you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, well, that's using heroes to support a victory. It's not that there's a new victory condition called a hero victory in the game. Just to clarify that.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
Just to clarify that, you can take a hero-focused playstyle, I should say.
okay. One more question from chat. Somebody asked if a questing knight dies, will it turn back into a unit or it'll just be gone? Nope, it's just gone.
It's gone. Their quest is done. They're out of the game.
Yeah, exactly. They go on to their greater reward in the sky. All right, well, we are coming up on our time for today. So I want to thank everybody who tuned into the live stream today. So Babylon and the Heroes and Legends will be available tomorrow at noon Eastern Time. I believe that is 6 hours ahead for Central Europe, 3 hours behind for, Pacific Time. So 9 a.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. European Time. Joining me today was Carl Harrison from Phyrexis QA, our usual driver. Carl, as always, it's a pleasure to stream with you.
Thank you very much, Pete.
And David McDonough, the designer who put together the Heroes and Legends pack. Dave, thanks for coming on the stream today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Pete.
So thank you very much for tuning in. Please follow us on social media. Stay tuned for more information about the new Frontier Pass and other changes to Civilization 6. My name is Pete Murray. I've been your host today. Thanks for watching. Have a great afternoon.